This is verse 15 of the 15th chapter of the Gospel of Matthew. Jesus has just advised the disciples that they should leave the religious leaders alone. They're blind leaders of the blind. They're both going to fall into the ditch. And so even though the disciples were quite concerned about the fact that Jesus had apparently offended them, Jesus takes a more dismissive attitude. That causes Peter to refer back to Jesus' rather strange saying that goes back to verse 11, in which Jesus had said that it's not what goes in the mouth, but what comes out of the mouth that defiles a man. And of course, these disciples, having been steeped in the Jewish religion that made quite a important distinction between clean and unclean, were finding this a somewhat astonishing statement. And so that seems to be what precipitates the question from Peter. So we have apokrithes from apokrinomai. This is an aorist participle. So having answered would be the idea, referring to Peter, who's the subject of the sentence. So ho petros, Peter, the postpositive. So Peter, having answered, literally, said, kind of idiomatic, but very common in the New Testament. Usually translated Peter answered and said, or simply Peter said. But the participle here gives that slightly different sense. So anyway, Peter, having answered, said, auto, to him, indirect object. The dative masculine singular said to him, to Jesus, phrason. This is from phronzo. It is a fairly unusual word in the New Testament. It means to declare, to spell out. It's from another root verb, which is phraso, which means to delineate or limit something, and out of that is the notion of explaining it, declaring it, setting it forth. Elucidating would be the idea. So Peter answered and said to him, declare or explain, humen, to us. This is the second person, or the first person, plural pronoun, to us in the dative. So explain to us, that is to the disciples, tain, the feminine singular article, the parabolane, the parable, and then some manuscripts include tautain, demonstrative pronoun, which means this. So explain to us this parable. And again, it appears to refer back. I think it probably is safe to say it refers back to Jesus' statement. It's not exactly a parable, of course, but the word parable could apply to more broadly to statements that are enigmatic, that are somewhat difficult to fathom. And so it seems that in that sense, Peter is referring to that statement by Jesus, which he's hoping Jesus can explain in greater detail, which indeed he does in the ensuing comments.